George Moscona, welcome. I'm so
Thank
delighted to be
you.
able to talk with you today about walking the sacred way of psychedelic medicine, also known as the entheogenic path. Entheogens meaning substances that give us the insight of the God or goddess within us. You are a master clinician who has been on this path for many, many years. And I'd like to begin first by asking you to share with us a little bit about yourself and about your work as a clinician, as a healer, and as a helper for people, particularly who've been traumatized.
Thank you, Leslie. I have been doing therapy with people for almost 50 years now, and was introduced to this particular way of working with people about 30 years ago. So for 30 years, I've had the privilege of working with people when I think it's appropriate with sacred medicines. So I am also an ordained minister and a licensed professional clinical counselor. So I work in both of those different domains. For the first 20 or 25 years of my professional life, I worked only as a minister. And I did most of my work in a pastoral setting as a pastoral counselor. And then as I got licensed, I started working more in a professional way, able to collect insurance, able to work with people in a more professional vein. So 30 years ago, one of the people that I knew introduced me to this sacred work and trained me in a particular protocol that we use as a way to work with people. And I've been honored to be able to use this particular methodology when it's appropriate with clients who are trying to heal. So we talk about healing and then having people grow as fully as they can grow. But a lot of times the growth is impeded by people's traumas, by people's inability to function well in this world. Once we can function well in this world, we can also step out into other realms. I should tell anyone who's listening that I started taking classes with Leslie quite a few years ago. And it would be my delight to sit in her various classes. And as she went through the cycle of all the different ways of healing, she would get to the part about entheogens. And I had the courage once to go up and mention to her that I did this work. And so when I was in various classes, she'd sometimes call on me and say, do you want to share anything about this? So this is a dicey world because it's still illegal in many ways. So the work that we do has been underground. And so it makes it very complicated to know what to say and what not to say in any kind of public setting. You've always been so respectful of that, telling people, we're not going to tell you who this man is. He's just going to tell you about his work. So today they're going to know who this man is, I think, as well. But anyway.
I'd like to talk with you and hear very specifically about what particular entheogen or psychedelic you're most familiar with and what the benefits are to the use of these one or more plant assistants, I call them, for healing, particularly healing PTSD and all the sequelae, depression, anxiety, and especially loss of hope, loss of purpose.
Yeah, I like that you've connected this with Mexico because my work is very much rooted there. We know that Maria Sabina exposed Westerner, Wesson, to mushrooms in a sacred ceremony, and it becomes somewhat sensationalized. Recently, within the last 20 years, we kind of rediscovered the roots of that work in Huautla, Mexico. And Julieta has held ceremonies for dozens, if not hundreds, of people who we've brought to Mexico to experience her healing work, the night ceremonies with mushrooms. The path, the way it got presented to me, Leslie, has a slightly different twist to it because it starts not with plant medicine. We do a lot of work with MDMA. MDMA, there's such research being done about it now, and it's an amazing tool in the work of PTSD work, in sobriety work, in many other ways that it's being used right now. So the path when I was taught it, and you and I both know Salvador, who developed a way of using these methodologies here in America from Mexico, and eventually passed this lineage down to people who taught me. So it goes way back to that original root. Somewhere he found, or we found, that sometimes it's too dramatic to work with people with sacred mushrooms right away, because it's such a different, expansive experience. And if people don't have a container for it, it's too hard to then integrate well. So we start our work always by giving people one or several experiences with MDMA.